Hey, welcome back everybody. This is Malik, and today we're going to install DVWA, the Damn Vulnerable Web App. So in later videos we'll be all set up to do things like SQL injections, cross-site scripts, cross-site request forgeries, brute force attacks inside of a virtual environment, but inside of a web app. So you can install this on Windows or Ubuntu or Kali or even Mac, but I'm just going to go ahead and install it on my Windows 7 box. Now, the two things that you are going to need to install DVWA, of course, you are going to need DVWA, and you're going to need XAMP. In this case, XAMP for Windows. I meant to bring up the sites here earlier and I completely forgot about it. But I mean, you can just Google them. They're very simple to find. And in fact, if you just go to DVWA, there's typically a link there. So let me just show you just real quick. If I just drop to Google. And we'll let this, and again my virtual is going to be a little slow because I got a lot of things going on in the background. We're just going to drop here to Google and we're going to look for DVWA. I'll just say DVWA download. And that's the website you're going to want to go to. It's the let's see, I had it up at the very top, and of course it scrolled down. Again, there's a ton of places to pull it from, but you want to, like I mentioned in one of my other ones, you want to make sure you grab it from the place that hosted it. Be careful grabbing it from some of these other places. Go ahead and grab it from dvwa.co.uk. And there it is. It's going to explain to you about DVWA, what DVWA is, and then there's your download link there. Okay. So it's a very small file. It's not big at all. That's what the app looks like once it's installed. And again, it's just dvwa.co.uk. And another one that you're going to want to go ahead and download, because once you download it, you're not going to be able to do much with it. DVWA is PHP pages. So you're going to want to go ahead and look for XAMP. That's the main one there. It's called ApacheFriends.org. which will install Apache so you can use those PHP pages. This one is roughly 110 megs or so, but a very simple one, and there's all of your different ones for Windows, for Linux, or for Mac. And of course I grabbed the one for Windows. So they're going to be the two you need, and I went ahead and downloaded them here. The first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and extract the DVWA folder. It's right there. So what I'm going to do, just so you can see what it looks like, I'm just going to go ahead and extract it to my desktop, and I'm just going to call it DVWA. Okay, so we're going to want to make sure we extract those, because we're going to need to copy those into XAMP once that's installed into the XAMP folder, so we can get to our DVWA application. It's a pretty small file, but it's zipped up rather tightly, so it may take it about a minute or so to extract. Now, while that's extracting, I can go ahead and install XAMP. Now we will get the UAC up here. We're going to eventually turn that off because it can get a little annoying while you're playing with the databases. Take a minute for that to come up. There it goes. It's kind of running behind everything else. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Now, see what I said a minute ago about the UAC? It says because the UAC is actually on, some things may be restricted. So it will tell you it's better to just deactivate the USC. So I'm just going to do an OK. Now, again, to do the UAC, it's different in every version of Windows. I'm just going to drop to my control panel. I'm going to go into my user accounts. I only have one account here. So I'm going to say change my user account control settings. I'm going to slide that down and I'm going to click on OK. And that's going to, let me go ahead and get out of this for just a second. There we go, perfect. So now I've turned off my UAC. Now it's going to have me set it up. So I'm just going to do a next. I'm going to keep everything on. Apache, MySQL, FTP and mail server, Tomcat. Some of these we could turn off, but we're going to keep everything on. Don't change the install folder. I don't need to learn more about it. And I'm just going to do an install. And it's going to take a minute to unpack all those files. We do have our DVWA folder over here that's already been decompressed. Show you. There it is. And there's all of the files to make our pages, as well as all of the major folders that it decompressed. Alright, so while this is unpacking, I'm just going to pause it for a second just so you guys don't have to sit here and watch it unpack. I'll be back in just a sec. Alright, so let me go back to full screen here so you can see everything. Alright, so right at the very end of the setup, it will come up and tell you that Windows Firewall has blocked some of the features. Go ahead and allow Apache through the networks. Now you can just keep it private if you want. You do not have to check public. And just say allow the access. And you won't see that until right when it gets to the very end. And again, the reason why I use XAMPP over things like WAMP server and all is it's a little bit easier to bring in other connectors like WordPress, which we'll work on sometime down the line on using vulnerabilities against WordPress, because there are tons of vulnerabilities because of the sheer amount of plugins that WordPress uses. There's a bunch of attacking we could do to WordPress itself. So this is going to finish up. Now our next step once this finishes is of course to start it. So there's a check mark here right at the end of the setup says, do you want to go ahead and start the control panel now? So keep that checked and click on finish. Right. Of course, you pick your language. Okay. All right. Now, these are your services, the ones you want to use. Now, the ones we want Apache and we want MySQL. So we're going to start Apache. Let it go ahead and get up and turn green, and then we're going to start MySQL. There we go. And down here at the bottom it will tell you attempting to start, and then status is changed, attempting to start, and status is changed. Again, you're going to get this the first time that Windows Firewall has blocked them. Just tell it to allow the access. Okay, so the control panel is up and running. I'm going to keep that open. I'm just going to minimize it. Now, I'm going to go to my browser, but I need to do one more thing. I need to get that DVWA folder where it's supposed to be. So we're going to take our DVWA folder and we're going to drag it into the XAMPP folder. So while my browser is updating here, I'm going to go to my drive. Go ahead and minimize my browser here for just a minute. I'm going to go to my drive. You will see a folder called XAMPP. You want to open that one up. And there's one in here called htdocs. Open up that folder. And we're going to take this whole DVWA folder, the one that we decompressed, and we're going to move it inside of here. Right. So now it's going to be inside of here. Now it's important to know the subfolder, DVWA-1.9. Depending on what version you grabbed. If you just grabbed this version, it's going to be, of course, the same thing. There is one out there that's DVWA-1.8. You'll be very careful about which one you use. So if I just go to 127.0.0.1, and give it a minute, it's going to drop me to XAMPP. So I can see that things are up and running. Okay? So that's a good thing. So now we want to go in and see if we can get to the DVWA. So again, we're going to do the 127.0.0.1 DVWA, and this is again where you need to know that subfolder -1.0, was it .9? I forgot it. Nope. DVA 1.9. DVA-1.9. 1.9 / setup.php. That's where your setup file is at. Okay. Now, sometimes you'll get this, and make sure that, of course, the folder is correct. And another thing that I usually check, setup.php, which is right there, DVWA-1.9, and that's okay. Okay, so let me give it one more try. Let's take a look at something here. just to see if I can get into it. I'm going to go ahead and do the long route. There we go. Sometimes you don't have to put the first DVWA in there. Sometimes you do. All right, now that will take me into my database setup. Okay. So it will give you your operating system, your SQL. What you want to do is click Create Reset Database. Now, this is very common. Could not connect to the database. Please check the config file. This error has been around forever, and they just haven't fixed it. So what we're going to need to do is go into the DVWA 1.9 folder and find the file called config. Again, sometimes on newer versions, it's either hidden or it's busted underneath its own folder. It used to be just under this folder, and it was just called config. Again, it all goes about what version that you have. And then I've seen it under the DVWA folder too. But I'm going to go ahead and let's just take a quick look at this. I'm going to just open this up with Notepad. And here's the configuration file. There's a particular thing that we're looking for. There's a spot in here called db_password. And really, it's a whole lot easier to search for it. There it is. You see it says db_password equals, and it just says password. Well, remove password. And again, make sure there's nothing there. Now, you can keep the single text, but remove the password. And save it. Okay. Now I can go back here. I'm going to refresh my page. Create and reset my database. This is what you should get. Database has been created. I was hoping it was going to stay on there a little bit longer, but database has been created. Let's see if it will just kind of bring up everything. User table was created, data inserted in the table, guest book, etc., etc. The setup was successful, and go to please log in. That should take you to your login page, your username and your password. Again, there's your path, and you'll probably just want to go ahead and typically when I start doing these, I start showing all of my bars here, my bookmarks toolbar, and you can go ahead and bookmark this. So you can bookmark it down here or wherever you want to do it. But I usually do a favorite on it, and I will place it on my bookmarks toolbar, and I'll just call it the DVWA. Now it's always going to be right there, then I don't have to worry about putting that path in again. So that's all the setup it takes. Again, just making sure, and since you know what's going to happen, you don't have to go ahead and try to connect. Of course, make sure you download DVWA 1.9, extract it, install XAMP, and start your two services, your Apache and MySQL. You don't need to install anything else. Drop that folder inside of the C drive and XAMP, and your htdocs. Drop it right there. Make sure you turn off your UAC, and go ahead, before you even go to the website, go ahead inside of DVWA 1.9 config, edit this file, and get rid of the password for the database, because you're not going to be able to configure it while there's a password in it. And you'll be ready to go. So now that we've got this all set up, I don't need these anymore. Go ahead and clean this stuff up. Now, there will be some videos out after this on how to do SQL injections into the DVWA, how to do cross-site scripting, and how to do cross-site request forgeries. Again, this is one of the coolest databases to play with. It's a very, very large database, and there's a ton of stuff that we can do with it. So that's it. That's the setup for it. Now there'll be some videos to follow that will show us how to get into it. So again, hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked them, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. You'll see those two little things pop up down at the bottom for subscribing to the channel. You'll see some of my other videos pop up down there at the bottom. And again, let me know if there's anything that you would like to see, and I'd be more than happy to make a video on there for you. So until next time, when we start busting into this thing with a SQL injection, I will see you.